G'day guys and welcome back today to another video on the Freo Faithful channel, episode 3 of the Freo Faithful podcast. I am joined once again by my young accomplice, UCAP. What are you saying, young man?
I'm very excited. It is game week real game week for the first time in 2025. So I'm absolutely buzzing. We get to watch the Dockers play some real football. Not a very easy start, Geelong and Geelong's not the most simple of tasks, but very keen nevertheless.
Yeah, Geelong and Geelong, round 1. What a rude awakening to say, welcome back, football.
Yeah, I know.
It's absolutely outrageous. But having said that, we do have some good memories down at the Cattery, young Noah.
We do.
My last good one, because I was away in 2023. I didn't watch that 23 miracle when we were terrible all year and still somehow managed to beat Geelong. But the 2022 one, the Stephen Hill goal, that Nat Fyfe legacy game where he absolutely dominated in 2015, the 2012 elimination final,
Pav
the
kicked
Pav
6.
soccer off the deck. I think that same year Pav soccer
The
off
Pav
the
soccer
deck
was
to
round
beat
1. It
Geelong.
was the same game as the Ballantine punch.
Yeah, like just so many good memories. So we should be excited for this game, Noah.
Oh, very, very keen. I think someone actually mentioned in our Instagram comments as well, the Paul Duffield winner in 2010.
Yeah.
That game was unbelievable. Obviously, Geelong were a brute force then as well. They were the reigning premiers that year too. We've got a weird history. I think the last 3 times Geelong have been reigning premiers, we've beaten them. So we do fare quite well against them historically. That being said, we've also had some absolute drubbings against them. So this game is not a given whatsoever. And as you said, it's a very rude awakening because while it's too early to tell, only 4 teams in the comp have played, but we might be playing the best team in the league first up. So we do have to be ready. We've got to have all hands on deck. And we can't be caught lacking.
Just a quick question. How old were you when Paul Duffield kicked that goal in 2010?
3. Silly. I've seen the highlights though.
Love strolling up to Subi that day. Couldn't walk, but it was a great day
I was at that game. I was. But yeah, don't have too many fond memories of it. Can't say.
I actually remember that happening because where I sat at Subi, like if you're watching like the broadcast, I was like where the 50 is on like city end, second tier, first row. So when Duffield kicked that goal, I was like right behind it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, big up Paul Duffield.
The first game I can remember going to was round 1 2012 when we beat them as reigning premiers. That obviously Matthew Scarlett, whatever. That was the first game I can fondly remember going to. So I've got some incredible memories against the Cats.
I remember watching Ballantine get punched because that was at our end and he was just getting into
Scarlett. It was at my end too. I was on the
2012. Yeah, that 2012, 2013 era where like the Subi crowd was just like so loud. It was like a cauldron in there. And we're just putting it on him and Ballantyne's getting into Scarlett and then he just hits him with a little left hook to the jaw. But yeah, lots of good memories. But like you said, we have been pumped by the Cats a fair few times as well. I don't think that's going to happen this time, especially... We'll take a lot of confidence going into it that the last 2 times we've played on this ground, we have won. This isn't just a Geelong preview, by the way. We are going to talk about other things. I did a preview today with Ben from the Hoops crew, and Noah's going to go in-depth into the Dockers side later in the week as well. But Geelong, how are you feeling going into it?
I'm feeling quite good. I mean, it's very weird to get a gauge. Like, if we were playing a team like, I don't know, North Melbourne or Richmond to start the season, I'd probably be a little bit more calm. I'm just a bit, like, tipsy for this one to start. Like, I'm not really sure how I feel mentally. Like, as I said, Geelong might be the best team in the comp. We're not sure yet. But they are a definite top 4 and premiership contender going into the season. We should hopefully be in that same bracket. I'm not sure where we, fit alongside Geelong on that level. But I'm overall very, very excited just to see what our level is and if we're ready and if we're... Because, you saw Collingwood on the weekend against the Giants, and Collingwood have had a lot of hype all preseason, and they're a much older outfit, so they should be more used to handling the hype. But they just lacked energy. They lacked polish. They lacked sort of what's the word? Just excitement to be there. Toughness. I think we're a much younger outfit, so I'm a bit nervous about, let's hopefully not buy into all that hype and underperform or whatever. That's my pessimistic side, though. My optimistic side is saying we'll go out there, youthful outfit, quick, hopefully outrun them. We've got Noddy in there. We've got Jez in there. And I just hope we can really beat them in the key areas because like, you look at Geelong's forward line. I think Tom Hawkins does decimate that. Like, Jeremy Cameron's an unbelievable player, but I think, Shannon Neal's probably their second tall. Like, it's not necessarily A grade. So I think we've really got to try beating them in the key areas, and I think we should be held in good stead.
I think in today's AFL, like, key forwards are, I don't know, they're not a dying breed, and we've got some of the best, but
yeah,
I don't know, you don't need like Tom Hawkins types anymore. Like, look at what Hawthorn did the other night against Sydney. And their smalls didn't even impact. It's like, if your midfield can get dominance around the contest, they can put it on them. So hopefully we can start to see a bit more of a scoreboard impact from our midfielders this year. But yeah, Geelong, it's not going to be an easy task to beat them first game of the year. Yeah, you're going to unpack it and preview it all later in the week, so we'll leave that there for now. This is a bit of a season preview. How do you see this season unfolding for us at the precipice of round one?
I think we've got a really, really good chance to get a great start to the season. I think you remember our great team under Ross Lyon. Maybe you call it a good team, because I think a great team wins the premiership. But that very, very good team under Ross Lyon, we really only had like an extraordinary start once, and that was 2015. We started 9-0. We sort of faded out towards the end of that home and away season, but we still ended up coming on top of the ladder. And I think we've got a really good chance to... Look, we obviously want to be playing our best football at the right time of year, but I think getting a strong start is equally as important. And I think we've got a really good chance to do so. This Geelong game's our hardest in the first batch. Like, if we win this Geelong game, it sets us up really well. If we lose, however, as you said, I don't think it'll be a pumping. If we lose, it'll probably just be a normal loss. It's not panic stations. Because after that, Sydney at home, you'd probably put us as favourites. Like, it's a tough game, but you'd probably put us as favourites. And following that, you've got West Coast, the Bulldogs at home, Richmond and Adelaide, Melbourne at the G, Adelaide at home, St Kilda away. So that's 8 games in, and you'd probably put us...
We're going 8-0.
Well, you'd put us as favourites in probably 7 of those 8 games. So I think getting a good start is really, really vital to setting us up for a good year. Not just as a football team, but mentally. I think if you start that season with a positive record, sitting pretty in the top 4, I think those players will really get a bounce off that.
Yeah, well, I think that good start really just sets you up for making the 8. Like, you don't want to be chasing tail all year. And we had that 3-game slump after being 3-0. We then went 0-3, losing to Carlton, Port, and West Coast last year. And in hindsight, that's what fucked our season. Mind my French. So yeah, getting off to a good start. All those fixtures you said there sound very winnable. Where do you sort of expect us to finish on the ladder? Like, try to be as unbiased as possible. Like, if you could pinpoint it, where do you reckon we'll finish?
Well, our fixture's actually, I think, top 5 hardest in the comp. But as I said, a lot of those easy games come in the starting batch of the season. The ending is crucial. So, like, getting a good start is so big for the mental toughness of this group, because the way we end the season is absolutely criminal. It goes... So, I'm sorry I'm just listing fixtures here, but it is absolutely absurd how we end the season. It's Sydney away, Hawthorn at home, Collingwood away, the Derby, then Carlton at home, Port Adelaide away, Brisbane at home, Bulldogs away. Like, it is an absurdly tough, like, last 8-9 games, which is why that start's so important. So I think if we get off to a good start, there's zero reason why we can't push top or be in the top 4. Doesn't matter where in the top 4. If we're in the top 4, we've got double chance, and I can back us to win anywhere if we've had a good enough season. If we don't have a good start, I don't see us... I obviously see us missing finals, because it's always a possibility. I don't think we'll miss finals, even if we have, a less than ideal start. Probably around that 6th, 7th mark is still probably realistic. But with the list we've got, and with how this season's laid out, with the list, with the fixtures, with the hype around the club, there's a very positive culture going on around Freo at the moment. I think a top 4 spot's very viable.
Yeah, I think we'll finish in like the 3 to 6 range. But you've summed it up well there. Looking at our individual players, we'll do a bit of a prediction here. Who do you think's going to win the best and fairest for the Dockers this year?
I think Josh Tracy. I've got him winning the Coleman, which,
nice.
Is it bias? I'm not sure. But if Freo are as good as we're making them out to be, and if Josh Tracy is the anchor man, mind the pun, down forward, then realistically he should be booting anywhere between 60 or 70 goals, which is obviously going to win you a best and fairest. So look, I think, what Sarong won it last year, I think the importance of Sarong, Brayshaw, Young will not go understated whatsoever. But I think if we're going to be good, and if Josh Tracy's going to take his game to an even another level, I think he's going to win the BNF.
Good shout. I like it. People forget how good of a player Andrew Brayshaw is. He sort of goes under the radar.
Yeah.
We all appreciate him as Freo fans, but he's had like the best preseason of his career. He said he's dominated in the pracky games and in the match sim, the game against Melbourne. Sorry. AFL MVP at the age of like 21, 22. People forget about that as well.
It's an insane achievement.
I think all three of our starting mids in Hayden Young, Caleb Sarong and Andrew Brayshaw could win a Brownlow. They are all Brownlow quality.
Absolutely.
And they're being led by Nat Fyfe, who's won too. So my pick for the BNF this year is Andrew Brayshaw. I just think he's going to lead by example all year and take his game to another level. So he's going to have a big job to play every week as well. He's going to pretty much have to match up on, like, if you watch like the games on the weekend, like he's just got to go to Will Day. He's got to go to someone like a Finn Callahan, or maybe Hayden Young would play on Callahan. But either way, it's a big year for our midfielders. And I think Brayshaw's going to take it all on, new contract, and take us to the promised land, I hope.
Yeah. As you said, Andy Brayshaw, it's not just like from the external noise. Like from Andy Brayshaw firsthand, he has said this preseason's been the best of his career. It's been completely uninterrupted. And he really only had a few years of Freo of being the solo main guy, solo main superstar in the midfield. And then sort of Caleb Sarong caught up. Hayden Young's now started to catch up. And, as you said, all three of them have Brownlow potential. Not saying all three of them will win one, but, I mean, how good would that be? 3-way tie. But yeah, I think our midfield is so well primed. Andy Brayshaw, because he's a very different dynamic to both Sarong and Young. Like, Sarong and Brayshaw might be a bit more similar than what Young is. But I still think all three of them complement each other so well. And that engine room doesn't work as well as it does without any one of those not being there.
For sure. We need him to stay fit on the park. No Hayden Young round one. We were listening to, I was listening to the Purple Rain podcast the other day. They were questioning the depth of our midfield, Noah, saying you got Brayshaw, Sarong, Young, but as soon as one of them go down, we're weak in stocks. And I couldn't disagree more, to be honest. I think you can roll Shea Bolton through there, increase his midfield minutes if we need to. I think Jager O'Meara had a really strong year last year. He's sort of a forgotten entity by a lot of people in the wider AFL community, but I think he can do a pretty solid job around stoppages. Maybe is a rung or two below those top guys that we have. But I think Johnson has done enough in the midfield to not be out of place there. Nathan O'Driscoll, Sam Switkowski can run through there. So, not sure if those boys listen to the podcast, but I'd be interested to hear your rationale as to why we've got a weak midfield. I know you're not talking about the top guys there, but interesting take.
And also these great teams in their midfields, it's not like when the Bulldogs have Marcus Bontempelli go down with injury, they're replacing him with an A+ caliber midfielder. Like, you can't just have, like, I don't know, Tom Liberatore sitting in the wings as a deputy. Like, it'd be, like, for AFL standard, we've got very, very good depth in our engine room. We've got a dual Brownlow medalist who will most likely be playing most of this year at Peel. Like, I know he's not the midfielder he once was, and I know he sort of started to take up some more team or forward roles. But, like, Nat Fyfe in the wings, you've got Neil Erasmus, who, look, I've been critical of, but there's obviously a player there. If you give him a run of games, you never know what he could provide. Matt Johnson's been playing out on the wing a lot lately. I think we forget, like, how much CBA time we could give him, and that would completely, give a different dynamic to that midfield. So, yeah, I think we've got some really good players in the wings. And, I also disagree with that claim. But that being said, they are the godfathers of the Freo podcast community, so we won't disrespect them.
They've walked so we can run, or whatever the saying is. But like, also what we saw from Brisbane last year is, like, when you have injuries to key players, like, it allows players like Lohman and Logan Morris, who came in, to have massive roles. When Lincoln McCarthy went down, Kadeen Coleman, it just completely, like, in moments of crisis, you can unearth diamonds. And, like, feel like if we did have a midfielder go down, Neil Erasmus would just be so hungry in that, and like it would allow him to thrive where he hasn't really had the opportunity to. Hopefully we don't have any injuries to any key players this year, although there will be bumps in the road. But yeah, just wanted to cover that. That was a point that popped up during the week. The channel is now rolling, Noah. We are about a month in. We've launched our baby. We've watched it started to crawl, and the community is growing. We're over 400 subscribers now, which is absolutely unreal. Thank you guys who have hopped on board and supported the channel so far. The viewers, the engagement, everything on the YouTube side of things is really popping off, and we're getting a lot of love on Instagram too. So yeah, thank you for that. Now the content's rolling, you'll pretty much see the formula of the season unfold. So there'll be an opposition analysis, so the Oppo view, which I'll do every week with a creator from another club. Noah will do a Dockers sort of focused game preview for the just by himself a few days before the game, usually on a Wednesday. We'll do the podcast, should be out first thing Monday, and then a team announcement Thursday with Noah, which will be live streamed, and then all the game day fun stuff. What do you reckon, Noah? That's a lot of content, but I'm keen to get it rolling.
It's a lot of content, but as you said, we'll get 3-4 weeks in, and it'll be running like clockwork. Yeah, very keen. I mean, after all, we are just doing something we'd be doing anyway, talking about the Fremantle Football Club all day, non-stop, but instead we're broadcasting it onto YouTube and all our other social platforms, Spotify as well. Make sure you leave a 5-star rating on there. Want to try, overtake that platform too. Yeah, very, very keen. I mean, Freo Football's back. Like, there's not really a bad feeling in the world when that's happening.
And we need yous on the fan cams. I reiterate, we need yous on the fan cams to talk about the game after they happen. This week it'll be UCAT running it, because I'll be at the game in Geelong, whipping the boys home. So hop in, have a discussion with Noah after the game, and hop in on the StreamYard link, which will be in the description when that stream goes live. That is that really. Now I just wanted to say, or ask, who do you think will be the contenders this year? Freo aside, who are you scared of?
I mean, you've got the obvious ones. I mean, Hawthorn in opening round. I don't want to, speak too much on one game in the opening round, because it's not like Sydney were dreadful. Like, Sydney were a bit off the pace, but Hawthorn tore them to shreds. The speed out of that midfield was absolutely silly. One thing that concerns me about Hawthorn's their depth. I think they're very, very light. I think their backline, they're quite well stocked. But apart from that, I think if someone goes down, like a big, big name, I think they're really going to struggle to fill the void. So I think if Hawthorn stay fit, there's no reason why they won't go deep into September. But if there's an injury, I think they might push low in the 8 if that's the case. Other team, I think Brisbane, look, I've been a bit of a victim of the lazy analysis that Joe Danaher is just going to be too hard to fill the void, and, Brisbane might fall off a bit this year, but I still think they can find a way. Like, you've got a guy like Cam Rayner who can play an undersized key forward role. You've got so many names that can roll through there. I mean, that midfield has just been revitalised. You've got so many wingers like, Jared Berry, Hugh McCluggage, who get CBA minutes, and then you're adding another guy like Levi Ashcroft who can also play on the outside and the inside. Their midfield is so dynamic and versatile. You can split those numbers, as I said, between CBA, wing, outside mid, inside mid. You've just got so much versatility there. So I really, really like those two. And I think the main contenders for me are the Giants. And I think they're in a similar boat to us where I just want to see it to believe it. And they've probably shown it more than us in our club's history, that they can, compete at the tipsy end. But they've only made one grand final and they got pantsed. So I really need to see them in a grand final before I can really state them as, true contenders. I mean, they're obviously contenders, but I need to see them perform on grand final day or even prelim weekend, because, prelims have been a daunting task for the Giants in the past. That semi-final last year was just an absolute loss of character, a really young list showing its flaws. But I think the Giants have all the pieces this year. I mean, on the weekend, they were without Jake Stringer, Jesse Hogan, and Tom Green. They have 3 absolute star-studded additions to add back. It's very scary to think how good the Giants could be. And I think one thing I want to really commend them on is they can bring in a young player. And I think they're the one team where they bring in a young player and straight away they just don't look out of place. Like, I thought
Yeah.
James Leake looked quite good. I liked the game of Max Krasuski. Dropped a few sitters, but, like, he was in the right places at the right times. Connor Stone, I thought, looked quite good. Look, Darcy Jones, I don't know how many games he's played. It would be under 20, maybe even under 10. And he just looked like a solidified AFL star. Like, his goal on the weekend, just the run and carry, the banana from the pocket, like, he just looks so on the ball. I mean, this might be a bit of a stretch, but if, a guy like Cooper Simpson could get to his levels, then we'd be having other teams and all sorts. But yeah, I just love the Giants heading into this year.
Fair play. Good synopsis on all of them. So I've got GWS, Hawthorn, Geelong, Brisbane, and Freo. They're my 5 contenders this year. It depends. Carlton would probably be in that conversation as well, but I just
don't like
I'm
them.
not sure if it's going to be there yet. No, it's not that I don't like them. It's like I feel like there's going to be a team that slides this year, and for some reason I feel like it'll be Carlton. Maybe it is because I don't like them, but if they can stay fit, I think they'll be a contender as well. I think Brisbane look like... Well, the thing with Brisbane and Geelong, and to an extent GWS, Geelong and Brisbane now have flags, but they've been competing for years in prelims, semis, early finals exits, and then Geelong and Brisbane pop up and get a flag. And I remember thinking about Geelong in 2022 when they won their flag. Like, if they don't win a flag this year, it's like they never will, and they got it done. And Brisbane was pretty much the same last year, especially after the injuries that they had, and they were like 13th on the ladder after round 8 or something like that. Came through and got the job done. GWS, they've lost so many semis, so many prelims. So for us to like just be young and exciting, the thought of just like popping up and winning one, like that'd be so cheeky. It'd be the cheekiest thing ever. Like GWS in line, Geelong trying to get another one, Brisbane looking to go back to back, and the cheeky young Dockers voice just hop up. Imagine that.
This is the glorious thing, though, because, like, we are super, super young, and it is a free hit in a sense, but we're also ready. Like, this isn't like we're a team full of 19-year-olds who are just, they're all pretty exciting, and, might pop up to finish 6th and win a few finals. Like, our average list age on our list is, like, what? I don't know, 23, I'd hazard a guess at. And so many of our stars fit around that age bracket as well. And they already look like established stars that are in their prime at 28, 29. But we've just got like that extended period of time we get to watch them for. Like, we're so exciting. We're so young, but we're so ready. And hopefully this is the recipe for sustained success.
It definitely is. We're going to be a good team for a while. It's all just on us now. Here we go. Like season 2025, we've got everything we need. Like, we could not be more prepared to make a charge for the flag. I said it in a video we filmed for your channel the other day, but, like, I just hope we can execute. I don't want to be one of those teams that, like Melbourne, when they failed to retain their sort of premiership window, they should have beaten Colton in that final when Blake Acres kicked that goal. They kicked something like 9 goals, 17. I don't want that to be the story of our season where we just don't take our chances and miss games. Like last year, we should have beaten Colton at Gather Round. We sound like broken records, but never should have lost that game to Essendon.
Port Adelaide.
Port Adelaide, we should have won that game. Like, that's the level we need to go to. When we are the best team on the day, we just need to take the game out of the hands of other teams. And I think someone like Shea Bolton is just a perfect addition for that. Like, when we're on top, Shea Bolton can just go, I'm Shea Bolton, I'm taking over this game, and kick 3 in a quarter and just take it away. So, but as I was saying, our midfield is probably as good as it's ever been in our club's history. We've got the best forward line that we've had since 2013, 2014. And our defense is rock solid, still super young. We've got everything we need, baby. We're young and hungry. We've got so much talent on the list. So hopefully we look back at the end of the year, and I'm sure there will be a lot of happy memories and fun times from this season. But look, we're hungry for the premiership, and we want to come and take it.
Well, I just want to say one more thing about Shea Bolton. That little point you just made about when we're on top and Shea Bolton can put the cherry on top and just start going at teams. I think it's also good to look at the other end of the spectrum, like that first derby last year where we were just getting pantsed and Harley was all over us. Harley was that spark guy for the Eagles where they were on top, and you've got Harley Reid, so he can just burst out in the middle and kick a couple, or take Mark of the Year in the goal square. Like, that was that spark guy they had. Now we've got Shea. It's also good to look at the other end of the spectrum. Like, before that Eagles lead gets out too far, like, say the Eagles are only up by 4 goals compared to 7 goals, Shea Bolton can pop up and say, I'm Shea Bolton, and cut that margin quickly. So, even if we're playing poorly, having a spark guy like that is so important to making sure games don't get out of hand.
Breaking news. We just finished recording the podcast, checked our phones, and Shea Bolton is not looking likely to play against Geelong.
Yeah, what do we do about that one? What, Cooper Simpson? Like, what's this?
Yeah, it's a bit of a sticky one. It's probably just a Sam Sturt job, isn't it?
Yeah,
Sturt
Sturdy, Banfield. Probably Banfield.
Murphy Reid debut?
No, probably not. I think we'll go a bit more forward. The thing is, Walters might have probably played as a sub in this game. So maybe Walters just get promoted to best 23, and maybe Sturt or Banners gets a sub. I hate to say it, maybe Murph gets put into vest.
Not the news you wanted to hear, especially after just wrapping up a podcast talking about how good Shea Bolton is. Let's wrap the podcast there. The 2025 season commences. Thank you to young Newcat. He's absolutely grafted this off-season to get the channel looking how it looks, the Instagram. So well done, young fella. You've done well.
You've called me young, I think, a record 10 times in this podcast. I'll mention it now because I know you've been doing it just to get under my skin.
No, I haven't.
But
you're just a young fella, bro.
Yeah, but thank you. Appreciate it. You too. The hard work from everyone can't go unnoticed. We've got a few other people working on the socials as well. So yeah, the preseason has just been the warm up, and now we can really get stuck in and have some fun with this thing.
Let's go. Footy's back. Let's get into it. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one.